future must not belong to those who slander the Prophet of Islam.
On a radio broadcast in Tehran, Iran, religious leader Ayatollah Khomeini was delivering a message of an entirely different effect, a fatwa, an Islamic religious decree, targeted at the famous writer Salman Rushdie and his new book, The Satanic Verses.
کتاب آیات شیطانی که علیه اسلام و پیامبر و قرآن تنظیم و چاپ و منتشر شده است همچنین ناشرین مطلع از محتوای آن محکوم به اعدام.
Theo van Gogh had provoked all Muslims all over the world when he had shown a woman naked in the breast, naked in her sexual part, performing the most noble Islamic service, the submission to God. This is not acceptable. Some respect should be paid to the Islamic values. Nobody is allowed to give him the right under the freedom of expression to speak as badly and as nasty by picture and by word as we have seen in this 12-minute documentary.
This area now is literally just a complete Muslim area. It's got 19 mosques all within a stone's throw and plans for another 6.
So driving through this area, are you unwelcome here?
Oh yeah, I'm completely unwelcome here, yeah.
What would happen if you were to walk through the streets here?
If I was walking the streets, I'd get battered. If I tried to walk from one end to the other, I wouldn't get out. Because they get on their phones so quickly. They're Saif al-Islam, that one there. Yeah, he's the leader. Yeah. What? What have I got to talk to you about? What have I got to talk to you about? What have I got to talk to you about?
What have you got to say about Islam and that, innit?
Yeah, I have,
yeah. Yeah? So why don't you say it now?
What do you want me to say?
Yeah?
It's ideology, it's got no place.
Yeah?
Yeah, it's got no place, bruv.
And what you
Sharia
got?
law's got no place in this country.
Got?
What do you mean, what have I got?
Go on, tell me,
What
do you stand for?
What do I stand for?
Yeah, what do you stand for?
Integration, bruv. I don't stand for paedophilic practices, yeah? Yeah.
What do you stand for? Go on, tell me.
What do you mean, what do I stand for? What do you stand for?
Hatred.
How's it racism?
Eh?
How's it racism? How's it racist to oppose a fascist ideology?
Fascist ideology?
It is
And what
fascist.
do you? You're racist.
How am I racist?
You hate Asians,
what
yeah?
race are Asians? What race are Muslims?
I heard. Come on, Clown. Where are you running away from?
Because I know what you like, bruv. You have about 100 you in a minute. You fucking little chief. You fucking chief. Prick. You see? That is Islam.
A Somali man has appeared in court in Denmark accused of attempting to kill a controversial cartoonist after breaking into his home. Kurt Westergaard's depiction of the Prophet Muhammad in 2005 sparked angry protests by Muslims across the world. Caroline Hawley reports.
The attack came late last night. Police called out to Kurt Westergaard's heavily guarded home after a young Somali armed with an axe and a knife tried to break into his house, threatening to kill him.
I mentioned this earlier in the week. My friend Lars Hedegaard, who's been a guest on this show a couple of times, on my old show many times, he's a leading campaigner against, well, censorship, physical violence. He's not someone who is critical of Islam as such. He is someone who criticizes those Muslims who want to prevent other people from having free speech. This is a man who, in fact, comes from the left. I mean, he's a long way from being a racist or anything like that. He merely says that what many are doing in the name of Islam is to prevent Danes, Swedes, French people, Canadians, Americans, British people, all others, many other more liberal Muslims, from living a peaceful life and expressing their point of view. Just a couple of days ago, there was an attempt to kill him. There was an attempt to kill him. He's in police protection now. We can't say where he is. He's somewhere in Europe. We can't be too detailed. He cannot do an interview in a TV studio. That would be far too dangerous. And nor can he give an internet Skype interview because, again, there are all sorts of precautions. So it's by telephone now. But thank the Lord, thank God I can actually have this conversation because it could have been otherwise.
No! In a northern district of Paris, a brave shopkeeper named Marie-Neige Sardin guards her little newsstand like a military fort. As a white woman, she is a minority in this mostly Arab-speaking Muslim area. She's been the victim of dozens of crimes. She's been raped, robbed, and had acid thrown at her. She says it's a campaign to get her to leave. But Neige, the daughter of a French soldier, calls her little shop a piece of French soil inside occupied territory. And she says she will not leave.
I can't bear to tell my future grandchildren that I have done nothing to preserve our French values, so staying here is marking our territory.
German Chancellor Angela Merkel now admits that multiculturalism has failed. British Prime Minister David Cameron has said it too. And they were talking specifically about immigrants from the Muslim world. The left's multicultural dream in Europe was to give Islam a special place in society, with no requirement to assimilate. Multiculturalism has encouraged Muslim radicalism and Sharia law. It's leading to a new tribalism, with groups organizing along religious and ethnic lines. In cities across Europe, only the police stand in the way of open street warfare between groups. In Paris, in Sweden, in Denmark, and in Britain. France has some 751 no-go zones. The French government labels them sensitive urban zones. But what they are is dangerous to whites and non-Muslims who enter. French intellectual Guy Millier.
It means that it's part of the country where the police don't go, the firemen don't go, and even doctors and the ambulance don't go, except if they have no other choice. And it's like that because these parts of the country are in the hands of drug traffickers, gangs, and imams.
And that's led to the formation of groups who oppose Islam and want to protect the white native French. The leader of one of those groups, Philippe Vardone of Bloc Identitaire, told me they're training their members in hand-to-hand combat. He sees a dark future.
Now, our government, our politics are leading us to war.
Vardone complains that the white majority is treated like a minority by the government, marginalized politically and victimized by immigrant crime.
So there is in one end the political speech saying, okay, everything is okay, oh, it's so good to feel the difference, to live together, it's communion, it's perfect. And this, on the other hand, you got the truth of what people are feeling. They are feeling like if they were themselves foreigners in their own country.
France has made some high-profile moves against Islamization, such as outlawing the veil. But in Marseille, we saw Muslim women wearing full burqas in front of French police officers, who did nothing. And we saw Muslims blocking the streets illegally for Friday prayers. Marseille is France's second city, and today is 1/4 Muslim. But there are parts of Marseille, like this area, that are almost completely Muslim. Some of the no-go zones function as microstates and are governed by or under the influence of Islamic Sharia law. French journalist and author Alexander Delval.
Yes, we see our society is splitting and dividing between those who are Muslims, those who are blacks, and those who are white.
I asked Delval where he thinks the situation is headed.
It's very simple to know it. It's a civil war. It will not be a real civil war like in Spain during Franco, you know, in those years. No, it will be a kind of local civil wars. I think one day it will be so unbearable, this situation, that the state will be obliged to send the army.
There are today in Europe many victims of multiculturalism like Marie-Neige Sardin. People without political voices, people afraid to leave their homes. Marie told us she could not just surrender.
Do we want our daughters to wear veils in the future? Do we want them to live under Sharia law? Do we want stoning to be practiced? No, it is not possible. I want to be the symbol of no, the symbol of stop.
Dale Hurd, CBN News, Paris.
That the more Islam we get in our free societies, the less freedom we will get. And I want to fight for all those, what the Muslims call kafirs, all those non-Muslims, all those women, all those apostates, all those renegades, all those homosexuals that will pay a high price when Islam would become more dominant in our society.
Okay, so brother, tell me why.
Obviously we're here to protest against this man Geert Wilders who insulted the Messenger Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. We're here to give him a message that, like he's doing his interview today, hold up. He will remain hold up, because obviously he knows that in Islam the punishment for the one who insults the Prophet is capital punishment. And he should take lessons from people like Theo van Gogh and others who face the punishment. So obviously we're here to warn him and remind him that he's going to remain hold up as long as he insults Islam and Muslims.
But is that going to be construed as a threat, what you just said?
Well, obviously what I'm not saying I'm personally I'm going to carry out, but he needs to know that there's Muslims in every corner of the earth, and these people, they all have love for the Messenger Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And the Messenger Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he said that man sabba ala nabiyyuk faqtuluh. He said the one who insults any of the prophets, kill him. That is the capital punishment. Not necessarily that I'm going to carry out, but he should be warned that, you know, the consequences of it.
Do you consider this a victory today that you prevented him from speaking?
Well, obviously, I think obviously all those people who insulted Islam, they're under constant protection anyway. They don't live a life. So they should learn from that and not insult the Messenger of Allah.
All right, thank you. Stuck, okay.
The future must not belong to those who slander the Prophet of Islam.